Welcome to 2Cents FC. I'm your host, Amobi Okugo, back again with my guy, L. Each week, we'll be talking with individuals from around the soccer world, learning about their stories and getting their unfiltered thoughts and opinions. This week, we're joined by Celtic women's forward, Mariah Lee. We'll be talking all about her soccer journey, her advocacy, mentorship, work, and more. We get started. 2 truths and a cap. Mariah, how you feeling today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for making the time.
Thanks for coming on.
So let's get it. 2 truths and a cap. What you got for us?
I don't like being on the spot. You want to go soccer related?
All right, it could be anything.
Comfortable for you.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'll just go soccer. Okay. I have had 7 surgeries for like injuries, various sport injuries. Okay. I've played in Venezuela, and I scored 6 goals for Celtic.
Oh,
I did my research. So I'm gonna let you go first, Amobi.
You did your research.
Yeah.
7 surgeries is a lot, but I'm gonna go like Venezuela. Like you played a game out there, or like nah. I'm going 6 goals as the cap. I think he scored more than 6.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Venezuela. Cap.
Okay. You got it. I played in Costa Rica, but I didn't play in Venezuela.
I should have just stuck with my gut.
But I mean, giving me more goals, I'll take it.
Yeah. I just figured it's like, wow, okay. Fair enough. That's cool. So first question we ask every person that comes on the show is, when did you fall in love with soccer?
Yeah, like when I was young, real young. Honestly, I can't even remember when I didn't love soccer. So I started playing when I was like 3, and then I would do like a bunch of different sports. And then I think by age 10, I was playing full year. So probably around then is when I was like, yeah, because I, committed so much time to it.
So was this something where your parents were like into soccer before, or they just got you into the sport just because it was something to do? How did that come about?
Yeah, my parents are both athletes, so they put us in every sport. So soccer was just one. They didn't play soccer, but it just stuck for me. So they would be happy with whatever, but I was good at soccer. I loved it, so I kept playing soccer.
So what was that dynamic like? Because we've had previous guests on the show, like their parents played sports as well at a high level, but they never played soccer. So were they like learning as you grew into your sport, or was it like, she loves it, we're just gonna let her rock out?
Yeah, both. My dad was like football mainly, but when he was like 8 or 9, he played soccer, and like he was scouted and could have been really good, but his parents were like, no. And my mom, girls didn't really play when my mom was young, so she did 1 year in high school when her high school offered it, but then she went to a different high school, they didn't have it. So they kind of learned as I played, and my mom actually started playing on like a women's team. So she still plays. Yeah. If it wasn't for COVID, she would be on her like over 50 team. So they learned too, but they were definitely like pretty hands off. Like, you got it. They coached me in basketball because they played basketball. And so there they would, be more involved in like the coaching part, but all the like initiative like was always on me. Like, they weren't those parents that like forced me to do it. They're like, if you aren't having fun, you don't have to do it. So
no, I like that. So quick question, because you played multiple sports growing up, and obviously this new day and age, it's like you have to specialize early. What's your opinion on playing multiple sports versus specializing early and like kind of building your craft in that particulars? I'm
so pro do sports, other sports. like basketball made me a way better soccer player.
Explain that.
Well, there are just so many different things. I think the biggest was the mental side, because in basketball, they were tough. Like the coaches were tough on you. You make a mistake, you're subbed out.
Yeah,
like,
you're so
you know what I'm saying? Like they're just like, get her.
Yeah.
And you know,
that shot,
like,
come, hey, you sitting next to me.
Right. Soccer, there's not really like that harsh consequence. And the coaches were like, if you didn't know the play, like, you know, there was like, you're out, like soccer, there was a lot more leeway for mistakes. And then my coaches just weren't ruthless. So like soccer, I learned mental toughness, and like I wasn't the best player. There were girls who, you know, it's like my spot. So like that's when I learned how to like be a dog and like, you know, you're talking shit. My parents, my dad would like coach and we'd play one-on-one, talk shit. So like I kind of learned that side of the game from basketball. And then like the athleticism, I think they kind of break it down more in basketball, like how they approach coaching. Like we would do fast footwork and stuff, like but we didn't do that in soccer. And like defense and like staying low and like all of that, they really honed in on basketball. And so for soccer, that made me a better, like more agile player. And like, you know, you learn post moves in basketball. Then I play target forward, you know, like those transfer. So I think it was really beneficial. And I ran track, and like that's directly like it's going to make me quicker for soccer. And so I think when people specialize early, they don't get like the general athleticism that you can get in other sports.
No, I love it. I think you need to do like a dissertation on why, why young players, because you touched on everything that I say. First and foremost, I feel like basketball and football, maybe because it's us in that sport, but that dog mentality,
that
talking mess, like, yo,
you're in somebody's face. You're in somebody's face.
Like, I used to love AAU circus just for that reason.
Right. And like, you know, you're just like with people who it's like personal. Like, you know, like if you're going by me, like it's personal to me. You're making me look bad. Like soccer, there's not that. Like, I'm gonna make you look stupid and embarrass you, you know? And so it's funny because like I can tell who kind of like play other sports, like when I'm playing. And it's like in college there was a couple other girls like where we would like talk shit to each other, and like this one girl, she played lacrosse, and like I guess they talk shit in lacrosse.
Oh yeah, they be talking. I don't know. They be talking.
But and so we would like go back and forth, but like nobody else who kind of had that same like.
Everyone else like, looking at you a little crazy, like, what are they talking?
And we're just like laughing, like shooting the shit. But it was just fun. It's like a different approach. But it helps me. It's, you know, it's like part of my soccer game that I think a lot of people don't have in the States. It could be other places too. But yeah, I don't know. Basketball, I love it. If I was taller, I don't know, I could have played basketball. But
so I got a quick question. You know, you play forward and you speak about, you know, that all around athleticism by playing other sports. Did they ever try to convert you to a defender role?
For soccer?
Yeah.
Well, I started out playing defense, like on my first team. Okay. And then I was like, we did a sweeper stopper. So I was sweeper, and then I was stopper. Then I was like a holding mid, and I was attacking mid. And I didn't start playing forward until like 7th grade. And so then I was playing forward, and it was like unfamiliar for me, but then I got good. And then once I got up to the national team, then they tried to convert me to outside back. And I was like, yeah, this is fine because I can defend and I can go forward. Yeah. So I'm fine with playing outside back. I feel like it's less pressure than playing forward. So I think defenders will be like, no, but like it totally is. Like you just have less pressure. So I would play it again. Like if a coach is like, I want you to do it, I'll be like, okay, if I'm on the field, like I'll do it.
See, that she might have a different story because she started out in the back and then worked her way forward. But like we had this theory, this black defender theory, where like we've had a couple of guests on the show who played forward and have been converted to.
They always try and convert us. Yeah, they always do.
Defense role. So like, wondering if it's like a color thing or if it's, you know, like what is
it? Well, I think it's because we are fast and we're strong. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, oh, you have to play defense. It's like, no, but we're also technical. We also can score goals. We also can do that. So it's just, I don't know. I think a lot of times coaches will pigeonhole black pigeonhole black players. And a lot of time that comes because, oh, they're fast, let's put an outside back. And not up front where you need more technical ability, or like in the midfield where you need more technical ability, whatever. But I'd be fine. Like, I would play center back, honestly. I think it's fun to be like mean and like a bully on the field. And you can do more of that. Position. Yeah, you can do more of that from defense than from up front. But yeah.
No, that's a great insight, because usually it's, you move further away as you get older, but you move closer to goal. And then obviously it's a unique dynamic, because the opportunity to play for the national team, you don't take it for granted. But then at the same time, it's like I'm a big conspiracy theorist, so we talk about our theories around it. It's like, maybe they don't want, a young, black woman as the face of the squad, playing forward. I'm not going to try to get anyone in trouble, but that's something that we've definitely had some conversations about.
Yeah,
for sure. So let's go to college real quick. So you've won a national championship at Stanford. You played with Katarina Macario, and then you later transferred over to Wake Forest for grad school. So which league, in your opinion, has the toughest competition?
Oh, this is going to make people angry. Pac-12 versus ACC. Yeah. This is hotly debated. I think the top is equal. Like, any day you could have a Pac-12 natty champ, Stanford, or you can do ACC, like Florida State, but I think the bottom, definitely the ACC throughout, is better than the Pac-12. Like, for instance, Wake, we didn't make the ACC tournament, so we weren't in the top 10, but we went to the Sweet 16. It's just because the ACC is that tough, where like, and we only play 10 out of the 14 teams. So if you get all the tough teams, like we're having ranked games every week in the ACC, or in the Pac-12, you don't. And so then when it gets to tournament time, you're like, oh, we've played the best teams already, we're ready. And then you, boom, win. So yeah, we were like top 32 in the country, but 11 in the ACC. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, ACC is.
So I'm a UCLA person, so I'm torn that you said that, but fair enough.
UCLA? Come on. No.
Hey, UCLA got a squad. Not with the men's side right now, but the women's side always got players.
They'll have a couple. Not like Stanford. Not like Stanford.
Repping your school. So who do you rep more? You said Wake or Stanford? Since you both.
Both.
Okay.
Both.
So if they played each other in like the tournament, who you doing like a half split jersey or what?
Ooh, I'll have like one underneath. Who's ever winning? No, I mean, I'd probably go Wake because of the underdog. Just like Stanford has won so many. I just be like underdog Wake, but like I cheer on both. Like I have, attachments to both schools.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. One question I wanted to ask, you talked about, that dog mentality, obviously through playing multiple sports. How do you think, if someone isn't playing multiple sports, because we can't, force the youth, how do you think we could bring that into soccer? Like that mentality, that little bit of spice into the game?
Yeah. Well, if you're not getting it at practice, then you got to create that space. So like pickup, I do pickup all the time with like my guy friends, and so then we make it competitive. It's more about pride, or you can put something on the game. Like if, butts up in the goal, like, you put something on it. And so I would do pickup. I would train with the boys. So instead of playing high school soccer, I would go out and play with them. And so you learn how to be tough. You how to be assertive, because they're not going to pass you the ball. So, things like that. Like for the boys, I remember like the first week they didn't pass me the ball, and then I got it one time and I like juked this kid and they're like, and then after that, like, I'm like, give me the ball. They pass it to me. So you gotta put yourself in places that'll challenge you. And if you're not getting that in your normal team practice where everybody's like, okay, like she scored again. Okay.
No, that makes sense. My sister used to play with the boys, and she hated it. But my dad was like, "Hey, you're gonna have to do it. That's gonna level you up." And they earn their
Yeah.
respect. It's really
Yeah.
funny.
I still train with the boys in the off season. Yeah, it makes me
Nice.
better. Yeah,
And off-season home base is New York for you?
Seattle.
Seattle.
Yeah,
How's the pickup in Seattle? It's pretty good.
yeah, we got a little squad. Soccer's big over there, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who play.
Okay. Where would you rank it nationally? We always ask, like, we got people from the DMV, they rep it as like, we had Darius Barnes last week from North Carolina. He's like he said top 1 or top 3 in the nation. Where would you rank Seattle as like a base for talent, both men's and women's development?
Well, I mean, the MLS, Seattle Sounders, like Jordan
we don't count the
Morris,
professional. Okay,
like, like they grew up in Seattle playing, and so the youth system is working. Like, so we got good players. We would do like state team tournaments. I don't know, like we called it OUP back in the day. And Washington was always good. Like we were always up there. Like California, Washington, were like the best in the West Coast. And so I would say it's top for soccer.
Okay. So you didn't say top 5, top 3. So she's probably saying like top 8, you know.
Well, come on. So in my youth, we like before there was ACNL, we had like Far West Regionals and all this stuff. And the Natty Champs was MDLA out of Northern California. And then the next year we beat them. So like we beat the champs. So yeah, good. And then I played with those girls at Stanford. It was really funny. Like a lot of us ended up playing together. It was like so we're good. We're good. We have good times. Yeah.
Okay. Rep your state. Shifting gears. Obviously you do a lot of stuff off the field, which is great about you. Tell us about your involvement in ACE. Like, what is it and how did you get motivated to get involved?
So ACE I did at college with Stanford. And it was a program that helped athletes do civic engagement abroad, because a lot of times athletes don't get a chance to go abroad because of the demands of sports. So it was like the inaugural ACE program, and I went to South Africa and was there for 3 weeks. And it was a group of students from Stanford and Duke, and we did a service project. Over there we did a couple different things. And then coming back and like reflecting on the trip, I was like, I think we should do more. And I think we need to like kind of change how some of the things are going. And so then I worked with like the head of ACE to like kind of think about the program. And so did that for a little bit with them. But they're still doing ACE. I think they did like virtual ACE because people couldn't go abroad with the pandemic. So
that's amazing.
It was cool. Yeah.
What city did you visit while you were out there?
Just really around Cape Town. And then we went to like Robben Island and saw where Nelson Mandela was held. And that was like really powerful. And we went around to the Cape Hope, and kind of just did some tourist things too while we were there, and saw some. I had like an ostrich egg, ate some stuff. Yeah, it was cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the food. We're gonna get to the food later, especially in Scotland. But yeah, South Africa is one of my, I guess I don't want to say bucket list spots, but definitely a spot I want to visit at some point.
And you also do work with Voice in Sport. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Voice in Sport is a really great initiative. I'm a mentor. And so they're revamping their structure, but there's still free mentorship, but there's also paid mentorship too. And I really joined on for like the free part. So like helping girls, no matter the level, continue playing sports, because it's such a big way for girls to grow in their confidence and like leadership, and like you just learn so much about yourself, and just helping girls, right now they're doing a partnership with the Black Players Collective in the NWSL. So they are doing free mentorship for Black girls in the States. with them. So they're kind of partnering up, which is awesome. And they also have advocacy spaces, like also just resources on nutrition and like mental health, and like they try and cover every different realm of sport, which you don't get. Like I wish I had this growing up, because you don't for me, I didn't experience like the holistic view of performance until college.
Yeah.
And wasn't exposed to it because I just didn't know. So girls from age 14 can get exposed to really high level stuff that can help girls who want to be elite, or girls who, you know, are just kind of like having fun.
That's amazing. Growing up, you know, playing youth sports at a high level, were you like the only African-American woman, you know?
On my teams, there were typically mixed girls. I was usually the only like full Black woman. But my team was unique, and we always joked and we called our team like the Ford Club, like compared to some of the other clubs where it was more like elite and affluent people, and there would be like one person of color. We would like joke around. So I never felt uncomfortable, but there weren't any Black coaches, there weren't any female coaches in my club. It was just all white men. I think now like they're changing, but it's very, you know, white male dominated. And so you're not going to have that level of connection. We're not going to have like that, you know, like deeper level of like someone who's been, you know, in your shoes, has experienced what you've experienced, can help guide you. Yeah.
I see. You've done a lot off the field. Like you mentioned ACE, you mentioned Voice in Sport. You received your master's in business. So what is your aspirations off the pitch, like career ambitions? I know we don't want to talk about, you know, your career ending because, you know, you still have a long career ahead of you, but what are your ideas of what you want to do after?
Yeah, I want to go into law. So I'm studying for the LSAT. I'm taking it this Saturday, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
Yo, thank you for taking the time.
It's all good.
The LSAT on Saturday.
Shout out to Kaya too. She's taking her LSAT, I think, sometime this month. So.
Oh, it's probably this weekend. We all take it at the same time. So I want to do that. I want to ultimately be a judge, I think.
Really?
Yeah. But like you practice before, and so I'll do something in like the public interest spectrum. Like no white collar. Like I want to help people, like marginalized people, Black people, brown people. Yeah. And like through sentencing, through reform, through decriminalization, all things that like judges can do. And like, I think that can really affect people.
No, that's amazing. What was the aha moment where he's like, I want to get into law?
Well, I grew up like wanting to be a doctor, like everybody, I feel like. Then I got to college and I was like, I don't know. Because my grandpa was a doctor and I like idolized him. But my mom actually went to law school and business school, but she doesn't practice. So she was like, you know, you can get a law degree and like do other things. Yeah. So I started taking history classes. I started taking classes I really enjoyed. And then I like took some classes in the law school and I was like, I think I want to do this. So I studied history and then, I had plans to go to law school.
That's really commendable. A lot of reading, but the good thing about billable hours. That's what my dad said. Billable hours. You're always going to have billable hours. That's amazing. So best of luck on Saturday for sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
That's amazing.
So if we jump over to speaking of law and like just racial inequality and stuff like that. Let's talk about the NWSL for a second. They've had some PR issues when it comes to racial inequality, like with their players and, you know, unequal treatment in stadiums and stuff like that with their players and their families. And you were with the OL Reign during the Challenge Cup, and you protested and stuff like that. What was your experience during that tournament? And like, did you feel supported? Protesting and stuff like that internally?
Yeah, it was an interesting time. And luckily, like, we had a lot of Black women on the team who were like down and supportive of each other first. Because if you are in a position where like you're the only Black girl who like notices something, then it's a struggle to even do anything if you're the one person and the other girls don't validate like your experience. So we had a lot of talks, like all the girls, and we were like, this is what we want to do, or like, what do you guys think? And like, how what do we want to say? Because a lot of time the onus falls on the players to do something, good and bad. But we had, the initiative to make demands. And so, for instance, or like, the club needs to do more, because, everybody's protesting. The club's like putting out diversity statements, like, we support the Black players, all this stuff. We're like, okay, so what are you guys going to do? And they committed to donating proceeds from like jersey sales to like Black Lives Matter organizations, and like catering from Black owned businesses, and like little things like having mentorship and little girls that are Black having like scholarships and so stuff like that, which is tangible, which is what we wanted. And they were open to do, what we wanted to do. So we did like a privilege walk as a team. And then they like filmed it and put it on social media, and it was like from the players. And so things like that. And it was a cohesive unit, which is not the case across the board. So it was an enjoyable experience. Like, we weren't allowed to leave and like go out and physically protest because of COVID.
Yeah.
And we were in Montana, so there wasn't like much protesting going on. And then when we were in Utah, like, we legit couldn't leave the hotel. But like, we protested on the field. We have platforms, social media to protest, and so it was a time for players to do what they felt was right. And I started a book club with the team, an article club. And so we'd read like papers or like sections of books and like have discourse on race, because it's hard if you are a Black person on a team that is really ignorant to what's going on, because the chemistry, the team chemistry is huge. Like, if, somebody's saying, that doesn't matter, your lives don't matter, like, you're probably not going to have a great experience on the team. And then, it's not going to be, the soccer is probably not going to be as good. The performance is going to suffer if you have bad, relationships. So I think having a space where people can come talk and like have resources, because a lot of the time I think ignorance and just like not knowing anything can perpetuate inequality and racism and implicit, biases, right? That like affect individuals, like on an individual basis. Cause like, we got to start somewhere. And if we can make this a place where everybody feels valued, it's great. And then if we can have some, systemic changes, like with the club and like doing stuff on an institutional level, great. Like, there's different ways to kind of fight racism.
No, you're right.
Sure.
How's it translated to playing in Europe? As an African American woman, like, is there been like a different dynamic around, this whole situation in your experience?
Yeah, it's weird out in Europe. It's really weird, and I still haven't really figured it out. Like, just in the U.S., it's so much like individual. Where like the players have the initiative, whereas over there it's kind of like top down. So I'm like, how can the top be like fighting racism? I don't know, when they perpetuate it too. It's just very It's very weird. Like, you know, before the games, they'd be like, okay, we're all gonna stand, and the next game we're like, oh, we're all kneeling, or we're all like, and it's like 10 seconds before the game. I'm like, why? Like, why do you guys do this? Like, why are you standing? Why are you kneeling? People are like, oh, it's the right thing to do. I'm like, but what's the, like, do you have demands? Is there like a purpose, or is it just to show solidarity? Like, that could be a purpose, just to show unity, but like, and there's no dialogue around it. I think people are like, oh, this is the thing to do, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And like, that's what I have a problem with. Like, if it's just, just doing it because it's everybody else. That's why some players in Europe were like, no, I'm not gonna continue kneeling, or like, I'm gonna protest the protest because it's useless at this point.
Yeah.
So I kind of felt like it was redundant. I mean, at this point, it's like, it's not affecting any change. It's people. It's normal. It's not a disruption. So I think a lot of leagues are going to transition to not kneeling and stuff, and I support that. If it's not doing anything, why? So I don't think the national team is kneeling anymore or something. I don't know, but yeah. For me, it's about like, goals or aims. Like, there's something concrete, and even just saying, we're going to showcase, like, Cap is like, I want to use this to start a conversation to show that, America is not treating Black people right. And like, they're not living up to its ideals, and Black people are getting killed disproportionately. And I want to bring that to the forefront. Right. So he had a goal, and it achieved its goal, like, in his eyes. And so Celtic did like, all the leagues in Europe were doing like a social media blackout. And they're like, oh, everybody, like, don't go on social media. And I was like, like, why are you doing this? Like, I'm researching, and I'm like, like, who is saying this? What? Why? Like, it was so last minute and all this stuff. And like, people didn't have answers really. Like, I was talking to other girls, they're like, oh, like, they didn't really think about it. We're like, I want to think about things I'm going to do. And it made sense, like, because there's so much racism online. We want to have a social media blackout because Twitter and Facebook and all of these tech companies aren't really punishing people, and they're not deterring people from saying racist things online when they can. Like, you can, block someone from making an account again, by showing proof of ID. Like, there's ways where they can limit the amount of racism, but they let it go. So if we all collectively, like, we're not going to use this, it pressures them to not let that go on their social media sites. So I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. We're boycotting. Like, the point of this is to boycott. If it was like, oh, the point is just to say racism is bad, I'd be like, nah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So like, on a lighter note, like, how is life in Glasgow?
At the beginning, it was a little rocky because everything was shut down. They're really strict when it comes to COVID. So like, the restaurants weren't open. You couldn't travel outside of your county radius thing. But they started to open up. And so I got to explore a little bit, and the weather got nicer. So
give us your best Scottish accent.
Oh my
I know you picked up
gosh.
some slang while you're out there.
Yeah.
Hiya. We go, hiya. All right. All right.
Okay.
That's how they say, like, what's up? They're like, all right. All right. It'd be like, hey, girls. They add extra syllables to everything. Girls.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. Autumns. That's how they say arms. Yeah.
Word. Okay. And then traditional meal. I remember, I don't know if I was in Scotland one time, or it was like Northern Ireland. I was like, yo, I'm going to starve out here because
they got
the food is a little bit different. Yeah.
No seasoning.
Your mom sent you some like Lowry's or something, or what was the
Johnny's on the West Coast. Yeah, I the food I struggled a little bit. Yeah.
So you don't have like a favorite traditional meal?
Is there one that you can like tolerate? Like, all right, if I got to go somewhere,
well,
I'm
like
gonna get this.
one of my teammates made me like a roast dinner. It was good. It was like chicken and roast vegetables, and they had something Cornish pudding or I don't know, something like that, and it was decent. It was pretty good. Yeah.
Fair enough.
So
Fair enough.
I'm guessing you lived on like a lot of McDonald's and fast
no,
food.
the McDonald's tastes different out there. It tastes different.
Oh, word.
Yeah, McDonald's
Yes.
tastes different in Europe.
It tastes different. Like they don't put as much salt on it. So you get the fries back and they're like unsalted. I'm like, what is this?
So like,
and everything's smaller. The portions are so much smaller over there. It's crazy.
If someone comes to visit you, like to catch a game, there's no like spot you're taking them to. Obviously, COVID kind of affected your tourist vibes, but there's no like meal that you're like, all right, you need to have this.
I mean, there's some places I'd be like, oh, I've been here and it's decent, like it's pretty good, but I wouldn't be like, you have to have this. No.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. So talk to us about the rivalry. I mean, obviously the Celtic.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Is it like the same? Obviously there's historical context around the rivalry. So it's not just like these two teams are in the same city.
Yeah.
There's some historical culture ties. How is it on the women's side? Like that rivalry is still just as intense?
Oh, it's huge. It's just as, it's huge.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So you walk around, like if I walk around in my Celtic top, people are like, go Celtic, like, beat Rangers, or they'd be like, oh, we're Rangers fans. Off the field. And then after the game, because I scored against Rangers and we won, we beat them. And people were like, that made my week. And like, I was getting so many compliments. It was crazy for weeks, people amazing. Still say things.
On me.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
That's good.
So you guys swept them this year, right? Did you beat them?
We beat them 3 times, all 3. Yeah. We beat them all 3. We swept them. Yes.
That's amazing. Is there any other rivalry that you've played in that you can compare it to?
I mean, Stanford, I felt like we were rivals of everybody. Like Santa Clara was our rival, Cal was our rival, UCLA was our rival. SC was our rival. Like we had so many rivals. So it's not the same because it wasn't like that one, I would say. Yeah, that's like unparalleled in my soccer experience.
Does the team like give you guys like a historical context of like what the rivalry means, or is it just kind of like known once you get there?
No, they didn't walk us through it. Which I was like, I would have liked to learn, but then I learned kind of just talking to people, and I'm like, yo, so what is this about? And so then I'd get some of the historical context that way.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's like some religious stuff too, right?
Yeah, the Catholics and Protestants. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really
no
cool.
joke. It is no joke out there.
So what's it like? What's your game day routine? I know everyone has like their own game day routine. Like what do you listen to? You got like a special playlist, go to game day meal, like away day essentials. What's that look like on your end?
I'm like the worst person to ask this question. I don't have like a set in stone routine. Also the time of day changes everything. Like if it's evening game, we'll get up, go on a walk, might go in and do some more recovery. Kind of depends on what we have access to. And then I'll try and eat a lot before the game, but nothing crazy. Like maybe some oatmeal in the morning or like some chicken and rice for lunch. I don't know.
Do you eat like 4 hours before a game, or do you like follow that protocol, or do you like kind of like?
Okay, 4 hours is excessive. I'll do between 2.5 and 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not eating within 2.5 hours.
Okay.
But if I eat too early, then I'm hungry.
Exactly. Okay, perfect.
What about your playlist? What are you listening to, if anything, before a game?
Well, the girls put on music and I'm like, what is this? So I'm like, I like hype, but also calm too. Like I am already hyped enough. So I don't like the music. I don't want music that'll make me like over the top. Or like they're put on like club, like like I'm like, this is too much. Like I can't, like this is too much. I'm already like at that level. So just like Drake or whatever, like I'll do hip hop, I'll do R&B, I'll do like some old stuff. Like it's kind of, I don't have like a set song or anything.
Yeah, who's your favorite artist right now?
Oof. I've been so into my LSAT that I haven't even kept up really. Yeah. I know I'm bad. I'm trying to think of the last song I downloaded. Was actually one of my homies put out some music. Yeah. Seven is his. So I'll plug him. 7 VII. Yeah, he just put out some new music. So
Yeah, we
I was checking his stuff out.
An intro. Nice.
Yeah.
How is it being an American? Like, are your teammates like? Do they like want you to like explain American culture to them? Like, dynamic.
Yeah, they're like, you sound so American. Like, okay, it's funny. But they'll ask me like, what do you think about Trump? And I'm like, oh Lord. Or they'll ask, like, we always debate, like, what do you call this? And I'm like, no, this is, you definitely call it this. I'm like, no, like we'll go back and forth. It's funny. It's you just come to life. You bring so much of your own experiences that it's fun. And where I lived, there was me, an American, Irish girls, Australian girls, British girls, Scottish girls. So we all came and like all had our own different upbringing. So it was a melting pot. It was cool.
Perfect. Real quick, soccer related. Can you describe your favorite goal that you scored thus far?
Oh, the Rangers goal, 100%.
Okay. Nice. Was it like a breakaway? Winner, right? It was a game winner?
Yeah. You haven't seen it? I thought you did your research.
No, that was L.
I didn't go that deep.
You gotta do more
pull
research.
that up. See?
Yeah. Because it was in Celtic Park, which is sick. That's the only game we got in Celtic Park. And they played Rangers before, but that was before the COVID restart. So like it was my first game against Rangers. We're in Celtic Park. And it's like huge. Like we have to win to be contenders for the top 2, because top 2 of the Champions League. And if we didn't win, we're not even contending for like the top of the league. So it's like a must win for us. And then I was like injured. I wasn't in the starting lineup. And we're playing the game and 0-0, and they put me on. And I think it was like a corner or something, and we counter. I'm just like sprinting, and I'm like, like saving the ball, and then Chloe like played me a through ball, and like the goalie came out, and I just like went around her, hit it in. So it was huge. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
That's dope.
And then
I'm gonna post that up on Twitter after we get off of here.
Yeah, post it, and then people were like doing where they're like, oh, put another video on top of another Celtic player who scored like an eerily similar goal. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you got to check it out. Yeah.
And then so obviously you've been grinding with the LSAT and stuff. Talk about some of the things like to do off the pitch.
Yeah. So studying is huge. And just like getting involved in various like orgs. Like I'm with Beast Voice in Sport and this organization called Coaches Across Continents. I'm like trying to get involved with them and like do a project. So we're still kind of figuring that out.
How do you make the time?
I don't watch TV. Like, don't ask me about shows.
Okay.
And then like trying to have my body together. So a lot of like recovery and modalities and like, you know, all that stretching. Yeah, like rolling out. I go to practice early, do rehab, stay later, you know, like I spend so much time. Yeah.
And then I got one question. What made you come up with your Instagram name? Because it's like it has something to do with your name, but it doesn't.
Murder She Wrote. So people call me Mur, like that's one of my nicknames.
Oh, okay.
And so my Twitter's Mur the Blur. And when I made Instagram, like that was taken.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like a play off of Mur, like Murder She Wrote. So yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And any advice? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'll say I was gonna ask that, and I'm surprised you put it down here. I was gonna wait to the end. But.
He stole your fire.
And then any advice would you have for someone trying to get into the game as a young, athlete?
Play multiple sports? No. I would just say like follow your passion. You know, if you're not having fun, is it really something you want to put all your time into? Because you want to be, you know, at the top, if you want to be the best, you got to put in time. And you got to do more than just the practice twice a week or 3 times a week. Yeah. You know, like you have goals, write those goals out, write out how you're going to achieve those goals specifically. Like I would set goals for myself. I'm going to go to practice 30 minutes early or 45 minutes early and get touches in before everybody else comes, you know, every day. Right. Or I'm going to spend 10 minutes juggling every day, or I would just go through different things. I'm going to do push-ups before I go to bed every day because I need to get stronger, or like, you know, stretch because I need to be more flexible because I keep getting injured, or what have you. So whatever part of the game, write goals, and it's on you. Like at the end of the day, it's on you. If you put everything in, then it's, you know, you can do like, even if I didn't get it, I, you know, did as much as I could. I did as much as I possibly could to achieve my goal. Yeah,
you're right. You got to put the work in. And it's not aimless work too. You got to like write these goals down to track your progress and go from there. So appreciate you sharing that. You know, we have a lot of people that are looking to make it to that next level that listen to the show.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go ahead and switch gears again. We're going to get into one of our favorite segments of the show. No card, yellow card, red card. So this is a rapid fire game where I'll read off some news topics and you'll give your opinion on those topics using the soccer card system. So no card is, you know, I agree, I'm cool with it. Yellow card is I can go either way. And red card is I disagree or I'm not cool with it. And kind of give a little explanation of like why you gave that that rating. Okay. So first up, Houston Texans running back Mark Ingram is buying a minority stake in DC United in a deal that values the club at $710 million, which is among the highest totals ever for an MLS franchise. He joins the ranks of James Harden, Russell Wilson, and Sierra, and Kevin Durant as black athletes with investments in MLS franchises. So, what card are we giving this investment by Mark?
Can I give it a green card? I'm kidding. No, yeah, great, no card. DC United needs the help too, so yeah, there you go, great.
Okay. Amobi?
Yeah, I'll give it a yellow card. I mean, it's great to get more people involved, especially someone of Mark Ingram's like caliber and like popularity and involvement. But I just don't know where they got the $710 million valuation. But on the same side, it's good if the valuations are higher. It means the growth of the league is attainable or foreseeable. But just from a money business standpoint, like, I'm like, where did they get that valuation? So I'm gonna give it a yellow card.
Okay. All right, so we're staying on the MLS topic here. So MLS is in advanced planning stages for a third division league, which is intended to serve as a link between MLS Next Academies and first team rosters. So this league will launch in 2022 with over half of MLS clubs represented, as well as a few independents. The league will also be joining USL League One and NISA as the third division of the U.S. pyramid. So what card are we giving MLS for this new league? Since it seemed like they're kind of infringing on some other territory there.
Yeah, I'd probably say yellow. Because they do have those leagues. How well supported are they? From what I hear, it's been kind of dicey. So yeah, I would say probably yellow. But if you're a guy coming up, you probably think it's great because it's more opportunity. So
yeah. For me, I really want to know who like the few independent teams are going to be. Like, how would that work? Because if not, I would say yellow card. I just don't. It's just MLX Next just moved up. You know, basically the reserve league all over again, where you're playing the same. Yeah, it's always good to get those extra games, but for those young MLS players that are on the fringe, them playing like those independent clubs that are like, you know, excuse my French, like, yo, fuck these MLS guys. Like, I'm trying to showcase myself. Those young players need that, like those type of games. So whether it's being a reserve league reserve team and playing this USL 1 or NISA or championship, I think that would be better for them. But at the same time, the more games, the better, the more opportunities, the better. So we'll see how it goes.
yeah. And I would say put some relegation in, like.
You got a pro rel supporter.
Like, you talk about DC United. How many years have they been at the bottom and they're chilling because they're not going to get demoted? You know, like, put some on it so then they're incentivized to like do better, and then those guys who are showcasing in the USL or whatever can have the chance to go up. So. Those are my 2 cents.
Hey,
that's it. All right, so we'll kind of stay on that topic a little bit more. So USL has announced the return of the W League. So they're set to kick off in 2022. It's going to be a crazy year, 2022. We got new teams starting up. We got new leagues kicking off. This league is expected to be a pre-professional league, so similar to USL League 2. And will include at least 30 teams by its inaugural season. So what card are we giving this resurrected league?
Wait, so this is for the men?
This is for women.
What?
No, women.
For the what USL? Wait, what?
Yeah.
You like the context, huh?
Yeah, give me some more context.
Okay, so it's a sort of a development league for women. So it's not a pro league. It's kind of pro amateur like league.
Yeah,
2.
in the States, W League in the States.
Yeah.
So imagine like PDL for women.
Yeah, I've never heard of the USL, but I played in the W League. I played in there for the summer, semi-pro.
Yeah, they're bringing the W League back under.
It's rebranded as
under USL.
USL W.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the summer, semi-pro opportunities were really cool because you have high-level games and you have girls all over from different schools. Like Rose Lavelle was on the Sounders women when I was there one summer. So it's cool. However, they should just have a league where it's a second division league underneath the NWSL. Like, that's the need. I think the need is for another pro league because we have so much more talent than 10 teams, 200 women. Like in Scotland, there's 2 leagues at least, for 2, pro leagues, whatever. So I think that's the need.
Do you think it's a situation of more teams or like a whole nother league separate?
Well, we need more teams and they're bringing in more teams. We just have so much talent.
That's true.
That when, there's only 10 teams, a lot of women are just like, okay, I'm going to pack it up. I'm going to go to corporate, who are really good players who can play pro. But they don't say they don't want to live in a different country or whatever. So I think we have enough talent for another pro league underneath. But if we only can add, a couple teams a year at the time, then that's better than nothing.
So what card are you giving it?
Yellow.
Okay.
Yeah. Give it no card. I think USL's doing they're planting the seed. I think they're gonna make their own women's league at some point. This is just kind of like the start of it. But definitely, to your sentiments, I definitely think just start the league. So there has to be more investment. Everyone's talking about, yeah, we need to invest in women's sports. We need to invest, but all right, go do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why I'm gonna give it no card for now. But ask me in a month, it might change.
I'll ask you in 2022.
All right.
All right, last one. So Sky Sports seems to be a big fan of Phil Foden's new hair color. I think it's like Cisco Platinum Blonde or whatever.
Yeah.
But have been critical in the past of Black players expressing their individualism through their hairstyles. So what card are we giving Sky for this seemingly double standard?
Oh, red.
Yeah. Red, for sure.
Yeah. We can't have double standards.
Yeah, Sky Sports, Phil is like their golden boy. There was a situation with Man City, like a player bought a house and they're like, look at how this dude spends his money. Phil Foden did the same thing. They're like, how Phil Foden took care of his mom. So it's like, all right, then you got that. They're always trying to get into like Pogba and all these other players that are doing things, whether it's their hair or off the field activities, in a positive manner, but they downplay it. And then with this, so yeah, I'm the one that sent this to L. I was like, yeah, we definitely gotta talk about this. Red card for sure. That's why it's good to have different platforms. Create your own media, athletes.
For sure. 2Cents Sports. All right, but yeah, that's it for this week's no card, yellow card, red card.
Yeah. So, Maria, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck on Saturday. How can people connect with you, support you, and whatever you got going on?
Yeah. So it's Mariah at Murder the Blur. Murder the Blur. Follow me on Instagram. I mean, that's my Twitter. Murder She Wrote on Instagram. Yeah. Check out the podcasts. And that's me.
No, respect. Any plans on celebrating once you finish the LSAT, or just low key?
Oh, I haven't really thought that far out. I'll do something fun for sure. Like something fun. My family is out here. And like I'll have a lot of friends I haven't seen in a while. So we're really gonna like start living it up post Saturday morning. So Saturday evening, I'm gonna do something for sure.
You'll be free for a while until time for law school. That's a whole nother beast.
Oh, I know.
So yeah, that's our show for this week. Subscribe, rate, and review. It helps us get discovered. Follow us on all the socials at 2Cents FC. Check out our merch at 2centsports.shop. It helps support the show. As you can see, L's rocking our long sleeve tee right now. And tweet us your comments on the show and any topics you want me or El to discuss. We're going to have all Mariah's information in the show notes. Make sure you guys check it out. The only show unfiltered thoughts and opinions on a weekly basis. Tap in.
Hey.